Hi, my name is James Rayburn, a private client advisor at Harrison Brook, and today we're going to run through defined benefit transfers, particularly for those who are no longer UK resident, run through potential options with respect to an international SIP or a cure-ops, and also look at what it might cost and how long the process can take. Typically, there are two types of pension schemes in the UK, a defined contribution and a defined benefit scheme. A defined contribution is far more common. It's when it's unit linked, so each contribution is used to buy into an investment fund, whether it's a tracker or an actively managed. Then your pension pot goes up and down in line with market conditions. Defined benefit is slightly different and quite unique in the sense that it's going to pay you a guaranteed income for life for as long as you live, and that will depend on a variety of factors, including the contributions you pay into, amongst other things, mortality rates and government bond rates. They're very attractive schemes. They're very rare and they're not really offered anymore. And generally speaking, the advice is normally to stay in these schemes, unless there are different circumstances with respect to transferring to a spouse or passing on to your kids. They're normally very good to stay in, and that's the default position of the FCA. So yes, you can transfer a defined benefit pension as a non-resident. However, if it's over £30,000, you have to take FCA regulated advice and receive a full transfer report, along with working in tandem with an international advisor who has licensing permissions, depending on your residency. As previously mentioned, 90% of the time it's probably best to stay in these schemes just because it's offering you a guaranteed income for life, which is normally index linked. That's something that's very, very valuable. However, there are certain times when it may be worth transferring. So there's benefits in transferring these schemes. As mentioned, you've got full flexible access, so you can draw down money as and when you wish rather than receiving a guaranteed payment each year. You've got access to 25% tax-free cash. That's tax-free in the UK, not necessarily abroad. And also, you have the benefit of passing on the entirety of your pot, if there's any left when you do pass, to your wife, your husband, and also your kids. Now, typically, defined benefit schemes will only pass on 50%. Or potentially even less. So there are lots of variables to run through really, and the whole process is quite complex. But in essence, you can transfer out. It's just important that you take the right advice and make the right decision on these. So there are three options really if you're a non-resident with respect to your defined benefit scheme. The first one, the most obvious, leave it as it is. So you don't transfer into any international scheme or move the pension away. And you'll just receive the annuity payment every year for the rest of your life, and it'll be UK tax will be taken from that source depending on the amount. Should you look to transfer, you've got an international SIP and a cure-ops. Those are the two options you have. A cure-ops will be relevant if the value of your pension is approaching £1 million. Now that's because there's certain tax benefits associated with a cure-ops. If your pension isn't near that amount, it's probably going to be more cost efficient to use an international SIP. Now, an international SIP will give you full flexi access drawdown. You'll be able to hold in multi-currency. You'll be able to manage the investments and control it, and really lifestyle it in line with your stage of retirement or wherever it may be when you're drawing down. And it's much lower costing than a cure-ops, so typically 3 to 4 times lower in costs in terms of the annual fees and the trustee fees and administration fees and everything else. So, as a rule of thumb, if your pension is considerably lower than £1 million, an international SIP will probably be your best option. If it's over £1 million, then you'd be looking at a cure-ops, but obviously that depends on your location. So the cost of these defined benefit transfers can vary drastically depending on which type of financial advisor you use or how the firm operates and their relevant charging structure. So at Harrison Brook, we are transparent fee-only financial advisors, so you know exactly what you're paying. Our fees will depend on the value of the transfer, so that's going to be 3%, 2% or 1% for the advice in transfer, and then a 1% ongoing management fee for that pension, should you wish it to be managed. Now, there are other costs to consider. These will be the FCA UK report fee. Now, again, depending on who you use, each scheme is going to cost between £2,000 and £3,000, potentially more, just for the report alone. So these transfers aren't very cheap with respect to the overall cost, but that's because there's a lot of work going into them. It's typically going to take, on average 2 months to complete the process, sometimes more. So if you are looking to transfer, it's very important that you give yourself ample time with respect to the 3-month guarantee period on your statement. Thanks for watching. I hope this has been helpful in running through a defined benefit pension and obviously the options for transferring as an expat. And if you have any further questions, please do feel free to get in touch.